1 second. I'm going to change my light a little bit too bright. There we go. That's a little better. All right, folks, good morning and welcome to Authors Write Aloud, the live edition. We are going 100% live, and we have on a little better. Now I got, oh, wait a minute. All right, folks, good morning and welcome to Authors Write Aloud edition. We are going 100% live. We have show today. That's a little better. Now I got, oh, wait a minute. I forgot about that. Folks, good morning and welcome to Authors Write Aloud edition. We are going 100% live. We have show today. That's a little better. Now I got, oh, wait a minute. Folks, good morning and welcome to Authors Write Aloud edition. We are going 100% live. Bear with me, folks. I got a little bit of a technical difficulty. Wait a minute. Folks, good morning and welcome to Authors Write Aloud. We are going 100% live. Bear with me, folks. I got a little bit of a technical difficulty. Folks, good morning and welcome to Authors Write Aloud. We're going 100% live. Bear with me, folks. I got a little bit of a technical check. Yeah. How's that? We're going 100% live. Bear with me, folks. I got a little bit of a technical There. I think I fixed it. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I had the browser on, so.
Uh-oh.
It was actually the software, and it was actually the browser, because I had to get the link for the thing. So I do apologize. All right, now we can start. Oh, technical difficulty. Here in the studio, see what happens. Okay, welcome to Authors Write Aloud. Today on the show we have Suzanna Linton, science fiction and fantasy author. Talk about her books and talk a little bit about her writing career today. But I want to jump right in and go ahead and introduce you, Suzanna. A little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Suzanna Linton, obviously. I'm a fantasy author. I've written 3 novels. I've been writing, publishing since about 2013. 2 of my books are of the Stories of Lorst series. Clara and Clara's Return. I'm currently working on the 3rd. It's about a woman who's a seer, and she starts off as a slave, and it follows her as she gets thrown into nobility and civil wars, and there are giants and wizards and all kinds of crazy stuff, and there's love and betrayal and that sort of thing. And then my 3rd book is Willows of Fate, which is the first book of the Lands of Sun and Stone series. That one's kind of hard to pin down as to where it is. I call it contemporary fantasy or urban fantasy, in that it partially takes place in our world, and then then there's a transition to another world. What is a young woman, Desdemona, can see things that no one else can see, and she's thought she's crazy her entire life, but she doesn't see ghosts or demons or goblins. She sees fantasy characters, essentially. She sees centaurs and knights in armor and girls with 3 eyes and crazy stuff like that. And when her mother dies, she goes to wrap up her mother's life, essentially, and do everything you have to do when a parent dies, and you're the only one to take care of things. Something that I have personal experience in. And she discovers that maybe she isn't crazy so crazy after all. She discovers a family secret that sort of changes everything and puts her life in danger. And so that's the first book of that is out now. I really enjoy writing fantasy. I haven't written science fiction yet. Maybe one day. I've played with the idea. I have a manuscript I've been fiddling with, but I don't know if anything will come of it. And I do hope to one day branch out into other genres. But I also have a YouTube channel, and I'm on Twitter, and all this other cool stuff. I think Richard's still working on things. What else? I do a lot of stuff on Instagram. I love Instagram. But my real heart when it comes to social media is Twitter. So you'll always find me on Twitter. Right now, I'm currently working on the third book in the Stories of Lost series. Tentative title is Duty's Burden, and it picks up shortly after the events of the second book, Clara's Return. And in this third novel, Clara is presented with a very difficult choice, and that could change the balance of a lot of things in Lost. And I don't want to say too much of that. It's going to be told primarily from a different character's point of view. Any fans of Jarrett out there, you're going to be hearing more from Jarrett. And there will be more of Bran and the whole crew. But yeah, I took part in Camp NaNoWriMo and was able to get the bulk of the book down. And then I just recently finished the rough draft. So that's where I am with that right now. How you doing, Richard?
Not too bad. I was just getting things shared up over there. Like I said, it's we on the fly when it's live. It's a little trickier because I don't have an engineer to sit here and do all the internet stuff to go do the Twitter and Facebook thing. But yes, I actually got a chance to check out your website a little bit, and what do you call it? Your author media kit. What prompted you to do a media kit? I personally don't have one, and I think I need one.
Well,
opinions on them.
Well, I got started on mine. I had an author assistant for a very short time. And one of the first things she did was she made me a media kit. And I was kind of just like, what is this thing for? And she explained to me that it would be something nice to send to any potential people who might need information on me. It's all in just one nice little packet sort of thing. And so she stopped being my author assistant, and I kept the media kit, and I update it from time to time. And it's really it's nice to have, because if you have somebody that needs information about you, pictures or synopses or things like that, or if you're trying to pitch to a blogger, the idea of being doing a guest post or something along those lines, or if I'm going to be interviewed by somebody, I find it really handy just to send it to them. That way they don't have to go searching in their research or anything like that. I don't use it a whole lot, but when I do need it, it's really, really helpful.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. So I got to ask, what for you makes a good story? What are the topics or the genres makes a good story for you? And is it vampires or werewolves for you?
Oh gosh, I can't choose between vampires or werewolves. I have kicks where I might prefer one or the other. Right now I'm on a werewolf kick at the moment. It just would depend on my what I would prefer. But to me, what makes a good story is there has to be high stakes. Somebody, either somebody's life is in danger, somebody's way of life is in danger. or there's a high price to be paid if something doesn't go right or if a problem isn't solved. There has to be good characters, well-rounded characters. Bad grammar trips me up. And I hate seeing too many tropes. I was recently reading a story where it involved werewolves, and this is actually the point where I stopped reading the book. It was, this woman has fallen in love with a werewolf alpha king kind of guy, and she accidentally herself into marrying him because she says the right thing or the right series of words in front of his pack, and she doesn't know what she said until afterwards. And if I had $1 for every time I read that in a werewolf novel, my husband wouldn't have to work anymore. And it's something I'm really tired of. Yeah, and so tropes like that I could do without. I actually tend to be really picky about what I read anymore, which means I don't read as much as I like. So definitely no tropes. No tropes, and good, well-rounded characters and things like that. High stakes and good writing, solid writing. And I always feel like there needs to be a sarcastic character in there somewhere. Somebody to stand there and tell the hero or heroine that he or she's an idiot. You there, Richard? Because you're frozen on my end. Uh-oh. I think we're having more technical difficulties, people.
Sorry about that.
This is the day of technical difficulties.
You are not kidding. The whole Hangouts crashed.
Oh.
Yeah. I think we're back. I know it says we're still broadcasting. I'm trying to check YouTube to make sure. Because Facebook is all messed up.
Oh.
In a scenario, I can record it. I can take the recording of the video, upload it later. That's not an issue. But I just want to check things out and make sure everything is working. Yeah, everything just crashed on me here. I think what it is like you said, because of yesterday. Yeah, we're live on the YouTube, so we're fine. I think what it is the rain, all the fiber optics and everything are just messed up. So, anyways, I apologize. I really do.
Oh, it's fine. A place I used to live in where it flooded really easily, like a regular summer storm would flood us out because we were so low-lying. We would lose internet every time it rained. So I feel you.
So, okay, so you're on a werewolves kick for now.
Yes.
But when it's vampires, sparkles?
What? Say that again?
Or no sparkles?
I will punch a vampire if it sparkles. I will punch it. I'll call, I don't know, I'll call Van Helsing something. Vampires should not sparkle. Sparkling is for crystals and people wearing glitter.
Right. I had to get that out there. I had to just check. I wanted to make sure.
I could spend the next hour ranting on Twilight. I really could.
Hey, you know what though? She had a good story, and
you know what? Yeah, there were elements of the story that were really good, and she got kids reading, so that's the plus side. I just had issues with what she was saying, or the kind of example she was giving girls about how girls should interact with boys and what boys mean in a girl's life and stuff like that. Joss Whedon actually summed it up really nicely. When he referred to I think he was referring to the Twilight movies when he said they were really How to Get a Boyfriend, the movie.
Okay. With your books, are you trying to build a platform for each individual book, or are you actually trying to, because they are a set, build one big body um, for the whole series?
Um, well, I usually, I'm not sure entirely what you mean, but I just put my books out as what I have so far. I present them as series because that's the easiest way to talk about them. And I'm not one of those authors that creates a Twitter page and it's named for their book and their book series, and that's how they push it. I'm like Susannah Linton, Susanna J. Linton, and come and look at my author page, and here are all my books, and we're all in one spot. So I try to it's just easier because you don't want to pick up a book and you think it's a standalone, and then you realize, oh wait, it's the third in a series, or you think it's the first and it's actually the third or second in a series. I did that recently. I bought a book that I thought was the first of a series, and then come to find out it was the third one. So I think it's best to kind of present it as part of a packaged whole.
You're telling me that Clara doesn't have her own Twitter?
No, Clara does not have her own Twitter. And if I asked Clara to go on Twitter, she would probably say something rude, look at me nasty, and walk off. So, no, Clara does not have her own Twitter.
Well, hey, that's a good thing. I actually I ran into that the other day. I have joined a new website for Twitter to get a little bit more exposure, and so far it's working. My impressions are, I wish the sales were at least showing that, but we'll start with impressions. We'll start getting noticed first. I'm very impressed with the stuff that I've been doing in the last few days. I've literally, in like 4 days, have reached over 200,000 people.
Wow.
And I found wanted to follow, because they were tweeting my stuff. So I followed the person. And they decided to message me, with a DM and say, thank you for following me, so on and so forth, get a free copy of my book. And I was, all right, what the heck? I need to add to my library. So I've been taken up on some of those messages, only because I do need to build my library so that I'm reading more to help my own. So I said, all right, I clicked on it, downloaded the book and stuff, and on Twitter, and I put, type back, thank you. And then all of a sudden, this person literally goes into a whole like scene. And I'm like, what is going on here? And it was the character of the book. Account was the character of the book, and was like in the middle of a scene in the book messaging me. And I'm like, okay, now this is far out. Like, this is way out there in the realm that I can't be in. So yeah, it was an experience, but nothing I would like to do. I can agree with that. But yeah, I mean, it's actually been, and I just want to throw this out there. If you are looking for at least some more, at least fellow author tweets, you can check out Writer's Tweet. I think it's writerstweet.com. It's through Apricot or something or the other. Link on the YouTube video. But I signed up for a free account, and literally I've gained like 900 followers in like 3 days, and most all of them are fellow authors or writers or bloggers of some sort. And I've gained about a 200,000 impression reach, which, yes, obviously doesn't pay the bills, but it's a start. I'm getting, at least my stuff is getting at least noticed now, where before it was, it was barely getting seen by anybody. And I think it's going to become a huge asset with that much impression when I run my next campaign, like through Head Talker or Thunderclap and whatnot. Co-promoter. Does anybody know what's going on with co-promoter?
This is that I've never heard of co-promoter before. I've always heard of Thunderclap and Head Talker.
Okay, well, co-promoter, I guess, is a website where it's kind of like where you can do something similar to what Thunderclap, and however, there you can kind of like collect shares or something, and once you have a specific amount of shares built up, you can share one big blast. So it's like you're co-promoting. It's like, 5 of your friends coming on and sharing your stuff for you in that aspect to Head Talker and those things. I don't know a lot about it because honestly, I signed up, I got an account, and I haven't been able to get on the website since. And everybody that I've talked to online in the last 48 hours, so I don't know if the thing is down. I don't know if their server went down, if the company like disappeared and vanished and there's no more co-promote, or what's going on. So I don't really know a lot about it. I do know the one person that recommended it to me. I'm going to hit her up later. Was Amanda Mabry, one of the past guests on the show, and see what she says. There was like one other person that said that they could get into their account, but nobody else has been able to get into it. But I guess it's a very valuable tool for authors. And I can't access it, so I guess it's null and void at this point. But anyways, back to your stuff. I just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody's looking for it, right now it's not working. Let's see. If you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
I would probably say editing is important, obviously. Well, also, mostly not to give up, to keep. Of course, I never wanted to give up, so that wouldn't apply either. Golly. I guess I would tell her to try to get published sooner. I didn't really start contacting agents until I'd been out of college for a while. I think if I had started earlier and tried to get my foot in the door earlier and try and get into the industry earlier, things would maybe be better in the sense of I would have a wider network by now. And to try and like get a platform put together before publishing, because I kind of just published. I was so frustrated with submitting to agents and the traditional publishing that I just published on a whim on Amazon through KDP one night, which is a terrible idea. Never do that. And I wish I had tried to create more of a platform and got more of a network of friends and co-professionals and stuff before I took that leap. So that's probably what I would tell my younger self. Probably walk up to her and smack her in the back of the head or something.
So you say you published on a whim. I didn't catch exactly where you published. Don't worry, I did the same thing. But tell us a little bit about that. What made you just on a whim go ahead and publish, and where was it?
Well, I did it through KDP, and then when I heard about Smashwords, I did it through Smashwords. I have been trying, I've been sending Clara out to agents, and agent after agent after agent just kept saying, you know, I got one or two responses. Either it wasn't what they were looking for at the time, or they weren't excited about it. And that second one always got me really frustrated. I'm just like, what do I need to do to make you excited about it? Does there need to be like confetti shooting out of the envelope when you go to open it? I mean, what does not being excited mean? I couldn't figure that out. I felt like it was publishing jargon. It was industry jargon, except I didn't know what it meant. And I what I probably should have done was probably should have just looked back over the manuscript again, tweaked it some more, and maybe got a professional look at it. There were other things I could have done, but instead what I chose to do was, my husband had just taught me Photoshop. And so I decided I would make a cover and put the manuscript together. And then I just one night published it. I didn't know if I really wanted to do that. And then I just had a screw it moment and went ahead and just put it out there. I didn't have a proper Twitter. I didn't have a proper website. I didn't have a proper anything. You know, I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew me. My cover looked horrible. But I put it out there, you know. So I would definitely say on a whim kind of thing. It was partially out of just sheer frustration as well.
Let's talk about the social media aspect of it a little bit, because growing mine, and as we all are, and we all are trying. What steps have you have taken your writing career from the beginning, where you didn't have a Twitter set up correctly, this, that, and the other thing? What steps have you taken? Where has it led you to setting up your Twitter as it is now, and your Facebook or Facebook page, your Instagram and whatnot? Kind of give us a little bit about that, a little information about that, how you set it up and what it took and the steps where it led you to get there.
Well, the first thing I did was I went back onto my Twitter, and my Twitter account is actually the one I made way back when, and that's why partially the reason why it's Susanna Linton and not Suzanna J. Linton or something like that. And I changed my bio and started following other authors. So that's kind of where I started. And then I started getting other social media accounts as I heard other authors talking about them. So I think the thing I got after Twitter, I got a Facebook page. I've heard too many times since then that having a Facebook profile and using it as an author profile is actually a bad idea. It has something to do with impressions and Facebook rules. You can actually get in trouble with Facebook doing it that way. And if you have a business page, there's more you can do with other accounts. Like, for instance, you have a Facebook business page, then it makes it easier to have an Instagram business and that sort of thing. And I started learning from other social media people. I started reading what other social media people had to say. Rachel of Bad Redhead Media has, she kind of, I asked her to take a look at my social media stuff. She gave me loads of tips and things to do to set up accounts. I was very careful first also to not overwhelm myself. That's always my knee-jerk reaction to anything. I will always take on more than I can handle. And so I tried to limit myself to only just a couple of, because I did first have a lot of social media accounts, and then I started cutting back on them when I realized I wasn't using them a lot. And I had to ask myself, okay, where's my audience? So, I know that Twitter's a good starting point. Instagram's a good place because there's plenty of people who love fantasy and things like that. I also was very careful not to make it too automated. I have automated tweets, things that share news items, articles that I like at certain points in the day, but I always try to go on there and post something, interact with people, because people don't want to interact with the automated machine. They want to interact with a person. That's the whole point of social media, to be social. So I try to get on with Twitter and Facebook and be a live person there. But I'm always willing to learn from other social media gurus. So I guess those are like the big things to be professional and have a professional account. Make sure you have a good profile picture. Don't do automatic DMs on Twitter. Just don't. It's spam. It's spammy. Don't do it. And just try to adhere to a good code of conduct as well. I have certain things that I won't tweet about, or try not to tweet about. And those are the kind of the main things for me with social media and getting it set up. And you never stop learning. You're always learning new things when it comes to that.
Yes, when it comes to especially the author end of things, I have learned rather quickly not to mix politics in writing.
No.
And religion is another one, unless you're actually writing a book that has like a new religion in it, or a religion, you know, or if it's a Christian book or something of that kind of nature. But if you know, if depending on, you know, it depends on obviously the, you know, what you're writing about and stuff. However, most of us write.
It also depends a little bit on the article. If you're sharing an article, like if I see something archaeological or something to do with like recently I set up to share an article on a monastery in the Middle East that hid a bunch of texts because the terrorist organization over there has been destroying monasteries and things. And so they were saving a lot of historical texts. And I have people who follow me who are history buffs and would be interested in that. And then there was something that was a bit of a satire. I have people who follow me who are conspiracy theorists, and I follow some conspiracy theorists. And it was a satire piece that kind of delved into conspiracy theory a little bit, but it was also Catholic at the same time. So, but I wouldn't want to discuss it in social media. Social media is a bad place to really discuss anything religion and politics anyway, because you can't really discuss it. All you can do is throw out your opinion. People will react to it, but there's no discussion. It's just reaction.
Oh, I got my caps lock on and I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly. my caps lock and my righteous fury.
Yeah, conspiracy theory is actually a big thing for me. Actually, Gemini Project, my brand new project that I'm working on, that will be released September 11th, actually is that of which it's based on conspiracy theories that the CIA was behind the attacks of 9/11.
I've been hearing a lot about that. And I've actually heard a couple of compelling arguments about that kind of make you go,
Yes, and it's a lot of fun getting the information, doing the research. I definitely have a lot of research behind it because there's so many twists and turns that can go into it, which is good because it's going to help the novel with the twists and turns. It's a historical fiction. So it's going to be one of a kind, and it's going to be one of the first. So far, I think I've found about 4 stories that are anything close to fiction that are based on 9/11. Everything else is either in the nonfiction or conspiracy theory genre, but nothing in fiction. So this being one of the first historical fictional novels written on it, I think it's going to have a pretty good push. I think it's going to be and I'm going to do it on a positive outlook. I know it's going to hit the critics, and I understand that, you know, especially being the fact that I'm releasing it on the anniversary of 9/11, I'm probably going to get some drawback, but I honestly think once people read the book, read the story, they're going to understand it. You know, and all I do is I take the factual things that I have found and the research that I found based on the conspiracy of it all into this one story. And, you know, I've got a good backstory and I have a good prequel lined up that is going to come out just shortly after. And this is the first time I've ever done this with any kind of my writing, with my blogs, my short stories, anything, where I write the story first and then write the backstory after. But I want to do that on purpose because my character is a special operations CIA operative and realizes that the CIA caused this to happen, and his wife died in the South Tower. So, and that's about as far as all goes. I don't want to give the whole story away and ruin it for everybody. But yes, and so conspiracy theories I dive right into quite a bit. I actually enjoy some of them, and a lot of them give me that. It's kind of like back to a book. One of my favorite books is Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code. If you really want to get into, I love that book. I love the story, and I got to tell you, even though they bring book to movie, and a lot of people have issues there, Tom Hanks does a damn good Robert Langdon. He really does. And honestly, how the story unfolds, I like how they take the twist of that story and do what they do with it, with Dan Brown's book. And that's kind of like where I want to go. Something like that, make people think. Because it's many people, have awakened a huge uproar over Dan Brown's, and that's kind of like what I want to do. Is I want to raise people's eyebrows, make them think: is that possible? Could that have really happened?
I think it is an author's place to make people raise their eyebrows and think about things and look at things from a different perspective. But at the same time, it's also important to see things from their point of view, and understand why somebody might feel offended. We shouldn't, if you feel like what you're writing is important, you really shouldn't let that slow you down either. So, yeah, I haven't read Dan Brown. I heard enough about it to know that it was probably one of those books that would make me throw it across the room. And I've read enough of those. But you have a good author if they tackle something like that, but you keep reading the book because you want to know what happens next. You want to know. You think, well, I have issues with what he's saying about this particular historical narrative, but at the same time, gosh, I hope this main character, survives and pulls this off and figures out what's going on. So it's a good author who can do both. Make you raise your eyes and feel a little offended, but at the same time, you're glued to the story itself. So that if Dan Brown can do that, then he has quite the talent.
I believe that he does. And there's, taking Da Vinci Code to like Angels and Demons, I don't think he did a job with Angels and Demons, even though it did make the big screen. And I have yet to read or watch Inferno. So I'm not real sure how that's going to work out. But I just refer to Da Vinci Code just because of this conspiracy of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Conspiracy of the religion and how the Vatican was to hide it all over all this stuff like that. And he takes so many different pieces of the Christian and Catholic religion and puts it all together, and he just does I thought he did a wonderful job with it.
Well, I'm really into zoology and paranormal things like that. I tried to write a novella series called the Bookworm series, where the lizard man of South Carolina shows up, and you have this society that's sort of built up that kind of runs parallel to ours. So sort of a Harry Dresden esque sort of setup, and but it didn't do very well, and I realized it had lots of problems, so I ended up pulling it from the shelves. Hopefully one day Helen and her cadre will come back onto the shelves. But I just, the paranormal and the unknown fascinate me. That's why one day I want to also maybe write a ghost story. And I'm always reading up on latest weird sightings and of various creatures. Like I said earlier, we have the lizard man, which the first documented accounts of that wasn't until I want to say the 60s, where people started seeing him. And so that begs the question, where did he come from? How come we don't have like old Native American legends or something about him from way back when? And it begs so many questions. And what if it wasn't a giant lizard? What were people really seeing and that sort of thing? But and also the way how some people will try and explain it away cracks me up. There's this YouTube channel I've been watching called Candlelight. What do they call it? Like the Candlelight Society or Candlelight Society or something like that. And they make the joke that scientists or people who try to brush off stories about seeing cryptids say, "Oh, it was an owl," This is 7-foot tall creature with glowing eyes. It was an owl. They thought it was, they saw a barn owl and they got confused. These country people, they don't know what they're seeing. They see wild animals all the time. Half of them are hunters, but they don't know what they're really seeing. That's which cracks me up.
Sorry, it takes a second to unmute the silly thing. So how long have you been writing? What made you want to become a writer, and what do to take care of your readers?
Well, I've pretty much been writing in one form or another since I was old enough to hold a pencil. I started off writing poetry, and then I transitioned to writing fiction kind of gradually. Because I grew up kind of lonely and alone, and even though I had a little brother and I went to public school and everything, I never really fit in anywhere, so I would tell myself stories. The Clara is actually the culmination of years of rewrites and telling myself the same story over and over until I felt I had it right. And I enjoy writing because it's a way for me to say what I want to say, to express an idea or a theme, or sound out an argument, mostly to myself, in a way that feels safe. And so when you want to talk about sacrifice and what's more important, the heart or one's duty, there's hardly a better place to do it than in a fantasy novel. And to take care of my reader, I try to keep in mind how they would react to the story. I want them to be able to suspend their disbelief. I want them to be able to take part in it. It's not just my story. Once I publish it, it's no longer mine. It belongs to my reader. So I try not to get in the way of my reader's interpretation. I've seen some authors who will immediately say, this book is about anxiety, or this book is about PT, or maybe about some other problem, or it's about marriage or whatever. And I don't, I might mention what I think it's about. This is the plot line and this is what I tried to discuss in it, but I don't push it. I want my reader to interpret it. I want my reader to say, okay, this is what I got out of it. And I try not to, with my ebooks, I can't help my print books. With my ebooks, I don't like to charge too much. Clara is free as an ebook, and I'd like to keep her free as long as possible because it's the first in the series, my first book, so it has a lot of value to me in that regard, and And I want my reader to get a taste of my style and what I do through that way. And I try to interact with my reader. I want to interact with my readers through Twitter and social media and my newsletter and things like that. And I want to provide fun things. I recently had an artist make a painting of Nile, a creature that's in the Stories of Lore series. And eventually, when I find a good printer, I want to start offering like a poster or like maybe a small print of that piece of artwork to my readers, either as part of a contest or for sale, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you agree with swag across the board for your books with like little keychains and the bookmarks, and to-dos and whatnots? Do you agree with doing swag for each novel or for the series?
I like to do swag if it has value. I like bookmarks because they're easy to mass produce, and they're you never know where a bookmark's going to end up, and it could one day end up in a used book that when somebody buys it, they find the bookmark like, oh, who's Suzanna J. Linton? I've never heard of this person before. And so it's kind of like free marketing in that. I think there's a bit of a black hole that a writer can fall into where they feel like they've got to be uber creative with their swag and they need to spend lots of money on it. You understand, you're giving this away for free. So if you have the money to burn, okay, it's if that's what they want to do, but keep in mind that it's free, and if it helps with marketing and you have the money to do it, then go for it. Me personally, I remember I had done these cute little, for Claire's return, I had done these bookmark things, and it was supposed to be like this bit of ribbon that had a cute little dangly thing on it with the picture of my book on it. I thought, oh, that's adorable. I can make that part of my contest. It's not a regular bookmark. It's this cute little ribbon dangly thing. And I didn't get the response I expected to get. And even the item I got from the retailer wasn't that great. And I felt actually kind of bad for giving them away. And I still have a couple of them left over that I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of. And they weren't what I thought they were. So, just proceed with caution with swag and not to get trapped in that black hole of spending gobs of money on it. And plus too, you always hear horror stories about conventions where you get tons of swag and then when the person gets home, half of it ends up in the trash can. Definitely be careful with it.
Silly microphone. Either one of those automatic remotes, I can just go mute, unmute, mute, unmute. Mute myself because the feedback, it's not a lot of feedback, but the background noise itself, what little bit it has, picks up and then it switches the camera to me, and I don't want to do that when you're talking. So, what did you do, or how did you edit your first book? Did you do it yourself? Did you have somebody else do it for you?
My first book was kind of a manual on what you should not do. I didn't. I think I did send it off to an editor, and I didn't listen to all of her suggestions. Yeah, I did send it off to an editor because I was still trying to get somebody to pick it up, an agent to pick it up, and I didn't listen to all of her suggestions. So, and I don't think I had that many beta readers look at it. I think I had like some close friends look at it, and that was just kind of the extent of it. And I didn't proofread it until much later when I was getting all these reviews back, and they were all complaining about typos. So I learned from that you should do several rounds of editing, just with yourself or with somebody, you know, I use Sherman Writing Services, and they're really good with editing. I've learned to listen to my editor more, and to actually take everything she tells me to heart, and to do, I think it's actually helpful to do more than one round of proofreading if you can afford to do it. This is like where it comes in handy to have friends who would be willing to do the proofreading for you as a favor in return for something else. So that you can do more than one round, because, but my last book was actually proofread by a really great proofreader who did such a great job that I've not heard one whisper about typos. So I'm happy about that. Hopefully I can use her again. So yeah, with editing, you know, there's some self-editing you can do, but after a while, it kind of blurs together, and what you're reading is what you think is there, when in actuality it might be something else. You know, you've gotten rid of a scene that you think is still in there. So I reread parts of Clara once. I could have sworn there were certain scenes in there and they weren't in there, and I was just like, oh, okay. I forgot I cut that. You know, you should use alpha readers and beta readers and things like that. It takes a village to publish a book.
Do you get messages from your readers? You know, do your readers contact you?
On rare occasions, I don't hear from my readers as often as I would like. Every now and again, once in a blue moon, I'll get a question on Goodreads, or somebody else shoot me an email through my contact page on my website. I've not yet been contacted on Twitter, I don't think. Well, I've had fellow authors say, oh, I'm reading your book and it's really good, or something like that. I don't think anybody's ever posted on my Facebook page that I've noticed. I wish I got more feedback from my readers, but they don't really, not as much as I would normally get. Sometimes I'll run into somebody in a coffee shop. Like, hey, are you that author lady? Yes, that's me. I'm the resident author lady at my favorite coffee shop, so that's always interesting.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? If you can walk into the local coffee shop and they know, hey, that's the writer lady.
Yeah, my books are sold there too.
Awesome, very cool. Now, this question is, I guess, not based on like social media, but based on other networks across the internet. What else do you use as an author to reach your readers, to stay, I guess, active online? Do you blog? Do you do other, you know, do you do stuff for other writers, you know, like Our Right Side does, some of those kind of things? What else do you do online?
Well, I've started a YouTube channel, and because I used to blog, and blogging got to be a real drag, and I just couldn't do the amount of output that people kept saying you should do, which is like post at least once a week. And I was just having trouble doing that, and because it deals with writing, and I'm kind of a bit of a perfectionist, and so it was just not, I was getting burned out on it. So I've been doing YouTube 2 videos a month, the second and fourth Friday of the month, and one is like kind of a personal vlog, and then the second one is something to do with the writing craft, or an aspect of the writing business. And I've gotten some positive feedback from that, not very much, but I've just got started. What else do I do? I do have a website, and every now and again I will post something on there. And I am on Goodreads. I'm not on Goodreads probably as much as I should be.
I'm actually I'm on Goodreads as well. I don't I haven't yet found the, I guess, the niche or the use of it. Very, very much. I'm not real sure. I guess I guess I need to do some tutorials or something to check it out, because yes, I'm on there. You can find my books on there. I have 2 different profiles because it was ridiculous, and it just until like recently, like within the last week, they finally fixed my profile. However, I'm still working on trying to get them to fix my author image too. So. But it's a little tricky, especially with the my author file on there. It's tricky to get them to edit the thing when it needs to be changed, or when there's updates. You know, they still haven't changed the website. There's other stuff on there too that needs to be changed. So it's a little tricky, and I guess because of the trickiness to it, it kind of steers me away. But I think I need to learn more about it and how to utilize it.
I think you can. I think on Goodreads you can go in and edit your own author profile. I'm fairly certain you can. You can do it yourself. The problem I've had with Goodreads is if there needs to be an adjustment to one of my books, you have to go through the librarians, the Goodreads users who have been given librarian status, and it drives me crazy that Goodreads does not give authors librarian status, at least for their own books. I feel like, you know, it shouldn't be that hard to write a bit of code so they can do that, so that I don't, as an author, have to spend, you know, time contacting because I can't remember what the problem was last time. I think it had to do with an edition or something. I can't even remember. And it took weeks before somebody finally got around to fixing the problem with my book, you know, and that's in internet time, weeks is years. So it's really frustrating. My issue with Goodreads also is it's a forum-based platform where you go in and talk to people, and I am rubbish at forums. I've never been a forum user. I just can't get into it. I'm a part of a number of groups on Goodreads. And I might go in and post some on a forum a little bit, and then I'll forget about it because I have other things to do. But I've used Goodreads a little bit here and there, and I've got the option open on my page where my readers can actually go in and ask me a question, and I'll answer it. And the last question I got was, when was the next Willows of Fate book coming out? Which surprised me because I getting so little feedback on that. I wasn't sure people liked it, and here out of the blue is this question, when's the next Willows of Fate book coming out? And I was just like, oh, I don't know. I wish I knew. Sorry.
That's exactly the issue I'm running into, because I claimed my author page with my books some time ago, probably I want to say 2012, 2011, and I can't change anything. I go on and I have to change it in this little box for the librarians, and I hear nothing back. I get no answers. And it drives me absolutely bonkers, because they haven't even taken, it hasn't even been reviewed. I've applied for for librarian status myself.
Yeah, I have as well. You have to have had reviewed so many books and added so many books to the Goodreads catalog. But the problem with that, though, is it's already such a massive site. What books haven't been added to Goodreads yet? So it's crazy. I really don't like their system. I really, really don't like it. I've looked at other Goodreads-like sites like Litzy, and there's another one. What's it called? There's another Goodreads-like site that I've signed on to, and they're better than Goodreads, I think, but again, it's a forum-based platform, and I'm just not big on doing forums. If it weren't for the internet, I'd probably be one of those reclusive writers that nobody hears from that might show up to a book signing every once in a blue moon, to be completely honest about it.
No, no, we don't want to invite nobody. Go away. No, I agree. And the forum based, I guess that's probably why I've steered clear of it. I'm on there. Books are available on there. My books are also available to be, commented on. I do have a option for people to ask me questions on there. And if I do get a question, I try to go over and answer it. If I get an email on it or see the email. But yes, it would be a lot better if I was able to edit the thing, because what they have me on there as my first, as one of the first books that I put out under Rodeo Days, which it's my nickname, Richie White. So that's what I'm listed on. However, I'm trying to build my author status, and I'm trying to build my brand, so to speak, for Richard White, so that everything is across the board. And it still has my old blog, and it still has my pseudonym with Shotgun Bow Rivers and stuff on there. And, well, like I said, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting on an answer, and it's the one that drives me crazy. So it's like, I've come to the realization of, well, until they fix it, I'm not going to bother with it. So when you do a newsletter quarterly, it says on your website, how do you handle that? You said you don't do a lot of like blogging and stuff. Is that something you just share stuff about your books, news about Suzanna Linton, what you're doing at that moment in time? What else do you do on that?
Well, simply because I had stopped blogging is why I switched to quarterly, because I didn't have as much to share anymore. What I usually do is I share if I know if I'm going to be somewhere, within that quarter. If I'm going to be in an event, I'll share that. I'll share any YouTube videos I've done recently. I'll talk about where I am in my writing, a little brief update on a particular work in progress, and that sort of thing. I'll share what I'm reading, anything of interest that I've watched, or any music I'm listening to, and try to personalize it. I don't make it very long. I don't think newsletters should be long. I've known people who come up with these insanely long newsletters. I was actually part of a writers organization that would come up with these terribly long newsletters. And I'm just like, dude, after the first scroll down, if it keeps going, I'm deleting. I have other things to do. I don't have time just to scroll through a newsletter. So I always try to keep it short. I don't have to scroll down more than once to read everything that's there. And I try to keep it readable. My college background is in technical writing, so I'm really big on readability and if it's clear and looks good and that sort of thing. And I use MailChimp, and MailChimp makes it really easy. So that's, and also I try, if I'm running a contest, I'll try to give my newsletter subscribers an edge. So if somebody comes on and they're taking a part in the contest, and I know for a fact that they're a newsletter subscriber, I'll give them an extra point. And I'll even say to them, I might send out a special newsletter saying, hey, I'm about to do this contest. Come and sign up, because use this code. I'll know that you've already subscribed to my newsletter. I'll give you an extra point. And that, I think, makes people want to sign up for a newsletter, because then they're like, oh, well, then next time Susannah runs her contest, you'll get an extra point and edge towards winning whatever the prize is going to be. I like doing newsletters. They're fun.
Nice. I'm going to turn from you being an author into a reader for a moment and ask you, what is your favorite book of all time?
Oh gosh.
And what is your favorite book by Suzanna Linton?
You're making me choose among my children, you terrible person, you. My favorite book of all time. Oh my gosh, do I even have one? I have two that come to mind that are neck and neck. The first one is Sunshine by Robin McKinley. An amazing book. It is a vampire novel, but it's a vampire novel like nothing you've ever read. It is a vampire novel that stands up in the face of all the pretty boy vampires that you see in romance novels and Myers and everything, and just gives them the finger. It's great. But it just seems like with the vampire genre, for me, from my reader standpoint, it's like you only have two choices. Either the vampire is going to be this magnetic, handsome, sexy character, or he's going to be a monster and there's lots of blood and guts and 28 days later kind of thing, even though that's not vampires, but bear with me, it's the same idea. But with this one, it's sort of the idea of the vampire as the monster, but the vampire as being kind of relatable at the same time. And just the character in the book is this wonderful, Sunshine is what she's called, just this wonderful character. And McKinley does this wonderful job of introducing you to a world that you sense is very deep and complex and has a deep and complex history, but you don't learn everything. You're giving hints, and if it touches with the plot, she'll talk about it briefly as a kind of an aside, but she doesn't bog you down with backstory. So you get the sense of a rich and complex environment, but you're not overloaded by information at the same time. And you want to learn more about these other characters, but you have to stick with Sunshine. Masterfully written book. I don't think it gets nearly as much attention as it should. My second favorite book is from actually I think from like the 50s or 60s, called Alas, Babylon by Pat Frank. Today, post-apocalyptic, nuclear war, dystopian novels are all the rage right now because that's kind of the fear that we're living in. But I think some people forget that the Cold War used to be a thing. Of course, I could argue that we're in another Cold War right now, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But Pat Frank wrote a novel when we were terrified that Russia was going to nuke us in any second, which again, here we are. Anyway, and it takes place in Florida. And usually when you think of a post-apocalyptic landscape, you wouldn't think Florida, like Central Florida. But the book is about a young man he's rich and he's an alcoholic, and he came back from the Korean War, I think it was, he tried to make a name for himself as a politician, but because and this is during a very racist era in our history, where segregation was still a thing, because he seemed to side with Black people, he was called a darky lover and lost his chance at being a politician like the rest of his family. So he's kind of in a purgatory of sorts in his life. And then the Russians follow through and they nuke the United States. And now he becomes the leader of this little town, unexpectedly. And he's having to deal with food and water and nuclear fallout. And it's a wonderful book. It's definitely a book of its time. You would probably have to get around some things Frank does with the women characters that you wouldn't read, or hopefully would never read, in modern fiction. But it's the parallels, reading it today, the parallels of the fears that back the novel and the fears that are going on right now is just stunning. And it's a really well-written book. It's really absorbing, and it says a lot about the perseverance of the human spirit, and has a very hopeful message to it, which is nice because a lot of our dystopian and post-apocalyptic stuff that's coming out right now doesn't have a very hopeful message. There's a lot of cynicism. And at the time this book was written, there was not a lot of cynicism in American society. And so it's good to sit down and read something that has hope in it. Now, among my books, my favorite, I guess Clara, just because it's my firstborn. I feel like a terrible mother saying that. I guess that would be my favorite, just because it was the first one I wrote, the first one I published, and I put a lot into it. And to me, it has a lot of intricacies to it that I read and I see it, and I don't know if my readers see it. And Clara will always hold a special place, Mark, because Clara was the girl that, when I was a teenager, I always thought I would grow up to be. This very just driven and independent and stubborn and that sort of thing.
Nice. I actually got to try to get a copy of it because I want to.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Frog in my throat. I actually like to get a copy of your book pretty soon so that I can check it out. I'm actually looking forward to getting my new job starting this week, so that I can bring in some monetarily benefits to my household so that I can support some of the authors that I've met over the past couple of months. I'm pushing my books out there on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and I get it. I get the struggle, so I want to make sure I see my fellow authors succeed as well. And I'm actually intrigued to check out your book based on the cover.
Thank you.
Really, it's it. You got some good artwork there.
Yeah, Fiona Jade Media is who's behind my art on my covers. She's great. I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Before we end, I want to take the time to thank you for coming on to Authors Write Aloud, and I want you to plug your stuff. I want you to plug your website, your books, your art, your artist, anything that you want to plug. Anybody that you want to thank along the lines of you becoming an author, anything like that. I want you to be able to take this time to do any thanks, any plugs, where to find your books, ebook, paperback, so on and so forth, for the listeners to be able to find you.
Okay, well, Susannah Linton, Suzanna, Linton.com. Please sign up for my newsletter quarterly, so you won't have to worry about getting spammed or anything. You might get a special email from me if something amazing is coming up. If you are in the Decatur, Atlanta area, or will be come September, I will be there for the big Decatur Book Festival. I am super excited. It's the first book festival I've gone to, and my books will be on sale there at the Emerging Writers Pavilion, or the Emerging Writers Tent. And all 3 of my novels will be on sale there. So please come and check it out. And I'm going to set up some way to be able to meet anybody who's interested in meeting with me, maybe we can chat via Facebook or something. You can get me through Facebook. The Facebook URL / Susannah J. Linton. Follow me there, and I'm always finding things to share, and I'd be happy to chat with anybody who would like to chat on the page itself. Again, I'm on Twitter. Susannah Lynn is my username, my handle, and please, Claire's Returns, my latest book. You can read it as a standalone. You don't necessarily have to get the first book, but the first book is free on ebook through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and those places. If you go on my website under novels, you should see links to the various places where you can find my books. In terms of people to thank, I want to thank Sherman Writing Services for being there with me and talking stuff out with me, and reading my editing, being great editors, reading books. I want to thank Fiona Jade Media for all the stuff that she does with my artwork and working with me. The Noble artist, Jamie Noble, he made the very beautiful artwork for the Ariel creature that I hope to figure out what I'm going to do with that. Eventually, it probably might be book art and also as a giveaway prize or something to sell eventually. My brain's gone blank. And anybody really who's helped me proofread or edit or anything like that. Amanda Mabry has been just really great, a great friend, and I think she's actually done a little bit of proofreading for me, I think, in the past. I think that was her who did that. And also my husband for putting up with me.
That's a big one.
Yeah, really.
That is definitely a big one. I got to thank my wife too all the time, because I drive her nuts. I'm in the office or stuck in front of my computer, either doing research or working on the book and stuff. And she's you never spend any time with me. She's like, you're not even writing right now. I said, no, I'm not writing, but I'm doing research. So, but it gets tough. It really does. So I got, honestly, that is the big one on it. Big one with that. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I apologize for all the technical difficulties and the miscommunication from yesterday.
I understand. It's all right.
But we got the show on. The show must go on. So we were able to get it going. I'm going to throw a little plug in here for tonight for Joe's Bar.
Yes.
Tonight on YouTube at Go Indie Now. Join myself, Susanna, and a few other authors, great people, I might add, that I have met over the last couple of months. Joe Compton's going to be there. I'm almost certain Shane is going to be there, Tracking His Pizza. I believe, and I'm going to say this wrong, so she's going to one of these days just drive to New York and choke me. Anais or Anais, I'm not quite sure.
I think it's Anais. That's how she says it, Anais.
Yeah. I believe she's going to be on there. It's a great group of authors. It really, truly is. And we're going rogue. We're going to just be kicking it back, enjoying ourselves on a great Saturday night. It's going to be a once a month YouTube hop thing. So this month starts on Joe. This is our first one. It starts on for Joe's Bar. It starts on Joe Compton's Go Indie Now on YouTube, and then each month they're going to be on each other's YouTube channels. It'll be one night hosted here on Authors Write Aloud, and in the future on some other great authors' YouTubes as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you have nothing to do on a Saturday night and you're not going out and about or going to the clubs or whatever it is you're doing, please be sure to stop by and visit. I will make sure that I tweet that out and share that out on Facebook for the YouTube link so that you can come on and visit with us, ask us questions, bug us, whatever you want to do. But yes, thank you very much for coming on to the show, Susanna.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't believe I am booked for Authors Write Aloud right straight into September.
Yay!
Yes. Every single week is pretty much filled up. I believe it is the 27th. I'm going to look at the schedule. I want to talk a little bit about this before I end the show. I want to talk about this a little bit before I end the show because some people have been a little misconstrued of what this is. There is only a few slots left because, well, you can have only 10 people on. One, two. Yes, there's 2 slots left. I guess you can only have 10 people on a Google Hangout. at one given time. So, but I want to at least mention this on it's going to be aired, but the date is going to be May 26th at in the evening, probably 8 or 9 o'clock. I got to push it out to everybody, to the people that are on the list, to find out what their best availability is for that evening. But we're going to do the same thing. It's something similar. It's called Author Jam. And this is where we're just going to go. We're going to go crazy with social media, with different techniques, authors, how authors do things with their writing, with, ideas, with, how they social media, different places they use to share their stuff and stuff like that. And it's just going to be, an author free for all. We're going to be jamming out, I call it. And the reason I gave it the name Author Jam is I play guitar, and there's nothing better and nothing more fun than a bunch of guys and gals just sitting around in a circle at a campfire or something, just jamming out on the guitar. Just having a lot of fun, just playing together, and making some good music. So, we're not going to be making music per se. That's Anna East's job. She's the singer. But everybody else we're going to do some writing jam. So we're going to be jamming our writing, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Ashley Nestler, Amy Tasukata, Diana Gunn, KT Webb, Joe Compton, Diana Wiles, and Ani. And I will not try to pronounce Ani's name because she will drive from California and hang me. So we're gonna, I got to mentor some of them on how it's going to be and send it all out. And I'm gonna, like I said, I got to send that out this week so that it's about a week or so ahead of time. Just to give them a heads up so they have some ideas and they're squared away. But yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. So please join us during Author Jam. It's going to be both Friday night and Saturday morning. It's going to be live on Friday night, and then Saturday morning we'll play it again. Just for, the people who couldn't be there Friday night because they were too busy, by Saturday morning and tune in and check it out and see how much fun we had. So thank you so much for coming onto the show. And just to plug it in, I'm going to throw it out there. This is Authors Write Aloud, live on WSPD Digital Broadcast, Maverick Radio. And you can find us on YouTube. You can find me on authorrichardwhite.com. That's the best place to contact me. On there is a link for Authors Write Aloud, and the information for that is there. I think I have to update it and add some more info, so bear with me. My schedule gets full. I fill myself up and I lose track of time. So, but thank you so much. It's been a wonderful show, and finally we got it to go off without too many hiccups. I always start out sketchy, but we finish with a bang. So, yes. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Yes. Thank you.